This room is the brain of my entire smart home. Internet, cameras, smart devices, media, everything runs through here. But more importantly, this is where I've built a home that's local, private, and secure. A house that still functions even when the internet goes down. And what you're seeing didn't happen overnight. Over time, I've turned it into a fiber-fed, segmented, fully wired smart home network. And today, I'm going to walk you through what I use, why I use it, and how it all comes together. Hey guys, I'm Ty and this is Ty Talks Tech. I focus on building secured, wired, local first and smart home infrastructure that prioritizes control, performance, and resilience. And most people don't think about their utility room. It's usually the unfinished and forgotten part of the house. But when this room houses thousands of dollars in infrastructure, it shouldn't feel accidental. So I finished the walls, painted them up, and installed luxury vinyl plank flooring. Now LVP helps reduce dust compared to raw concrete and makes cleaning around the electronics much easier. I'm still planning on upgrading the lighting, but overall, the space feels more controlled. And when you're running networking equipment 24/7, the environment matters. In my previous build, my rack was mounted on this wall, but I moved it over to the adjacent wall for two reasons. First, separation from electrical panel. It is recommended to keep network cables away from high voltage wiring whenever possible, and the electrical panel is a giant source of EMI. And secondly, the space. The previous location didn't give me room to expand. I have plans to expand this rack this year, so moving it to the other side of the wall gives me more room for growth. My house is fiber fed and the main line that enters the house comes in from this side of the room. Originally, I bypassed the ISP modem completely by plugging the GPON SFP module directly into my Unified Dream Router Pro. And that gave me full control over routing, firewall rules, VLANs, VPNs, and pretty much everything lived on my own hardware. But when I upgraded to a 1.5 gig service plan and my ONT box was upgraded, that GPON setup became unreliable. So I had to bring the ISP modem back into active deployment, and it only runs in bridge mode. It does just one job: convert fiber to internet. It doesn't route, it doesn't give out IP addresses, it doesn't manage firewall rules. All of that is still handled by my Unified Dream Machine Pro. On this wall, I've installed the IKEA SCSI pegboard. It allows me to properly organize my frequently used accessories. I can use attachment bins like this one to store things like my RJ45 connectors, my rack screws, fiber modules, and pretty much anything that I use in this room. It also allows me to mount devices that would otherwise not fit nicely in my rack, like this my service provider modem. I also have my Ratio smart sprinkler controller mounted right here. It automatically adjusts watering schedules based on weather data and seasonal changes. Right now it's the middle of winter and it is in hibernation mode, but when spring comes around, it's going to switch back and immediately start sprinkling my grass again. On the same pegboard, I mounted my Reolink Home Hub. It acts as a local NVR for my Reolink cameras. It also has a built-in 2TB hard drive that's upgradable up to 16TB, and it records everything locally without any subscription. So even if my internet goes down, my camera still continues to record. Everything on this wall is powered through an Eve Energy Smart Outlet. Now what I like about this outlet is that it supports full local control through Apple HomeKit. If I ever need to reboot this entire section of devices, I can do it without relying on any external cloud service, and even when my modem is restarting, I can still control the outlets from inside the house. Below the pegboard is my Unraid server. Now this is where everything began. It started out as a scrap part, and over time I upgraded it into something that's very reliable. Right now it has an Intel i5-9500 processor with a 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. It provides about 31TB of usable storage with one parity drive for protection, plus a 1TB NVMe cache pool. And one thing I like about Unraid is that it works similar to just JBOD, which is just a bunch of disks. So I can use drives of various sizes and capacities and increase and expand as my budget allows. One of the benefits of my NVMe cache is that my files immediately land on the NVMe drive first when I'm copying files to the server. And later, when the server is not busy, it runs a mover action that checks for files that have not been used after a specific period of time and then moves those over to my main pool. And this gives me fast read and write access, except for when I have to access those files that are no longer on the NVMe cache pool. Then it has to write directly from my hard drive pool at a slower speed. The server connects back to my main switch over a 10 gig fiber link. This server runs Plex, reverse proxy services, scripted for my HomeKit cameras and other Docker containers. If my internet goes down, my media still streams inside of the house. Now that's one of the big advantages of having a local infrastructure. Now let's move on to the main rack. This is a 12U rack and at the top is a 24 port patch panel. Every in-wall Ethernet in this house, from cameras to TVs to access points, all terminate right here. If a device has an Ethernet port, it gets wired. Wireless is reserved for devices that truly needs it, like my mobile devices. And this essentially helps keep my airtime utilization low. Below that is my UniFi USW Pro 24 PoE switch. Now this thing is a beast. The first 22 ports are all PoE capable of 2.5 gigabit speed, and the last two are 10 gig PoE ports. This thing has essentially future-proofed my setup. I recently upgraded to a U7XG wireless access point, which supports 10 gig, so I was able to power it directly from this switch. My computer also uses 10 gig docking station, so I'm able to connect to the network as well. The Etherlightning feature of this switch lets me color code ports by speed. If something negotiates at 100 meg instead of 2.5 gig, I can see it immediately. Plus, the front LCM display shows link status and PoE usage at a glance without logging into the dashboard. I can even reboot the switch directly from this screen. Below that is another patch panel to keep cable runs short and organized, so I'm able to use a 0.15 meter patch cord combined with the nice spread of the port density on the USW Pro to achieve this nice patch panel look. Then we have the UniFi Dream Machine Pro. This thing handles my routing, my firewall rules, DHCP, VLAN segmentation, IPS and IDS, and even my UniFi Protect NVR application for my cameras. I have it connected directly to my USW on a 10 gig connection using a DAC cable over the SFP Plus ports. I run separate VLANs for my main devices, my IoT devices, cameras, and media devices. IoT devices cannot communicate with my main network. Camera VLANs don't have internet access except when I need to do a software upgrade, and the main network has access to everything, but only specific devices are allowed on this network. Below that is a tray holding my smart home hubs. I have an Aqara M3 hub powered over PoE, which means one cable provides both power and data. I also have a Samsung SmartThings hub and a Raspberry Pi running Home Assistant. Home Assistant acts as the orchestration layer tying everything together. I don't really rely on any single ecosystem because flexibility matters to me. At the very bottom of the rack is the UniFi PDU Pro. It allows me to remotely power cycle individual outlets. If something freezes, I don't have to physically come down here. It also shows real-time power drop outlet on the front LCM display as well, similar to all the other UniFi devices. Now, mounted on the wall is my UPS. This thing gives me roughly 1 hour of runtime for the entire stack. So my cameras, servers, hubs, Wi-Fi access points, and network still stays up during any power outage. If the power flickers or goes out, my system doesn't crash immediately. The cameras keep recording and the network continues to function. I have time to shut things down properly instead of risking corrupting my storage drives. Access to this room is also controlled, and I do that using the Aqara U300 smart door lock. And one of the biggest things I like about this door lock is it comes with an handle, so it can replace any interior door lock. It supports fingerprint unlocking, keypad, app control, or even NFC, and the door automatically locks by itself. Now, one thing this door lock is lacking is like a way to detect if the door is open or closed. So I have also installed a UniFi all-in-one sensor on the door to determine that. Now, this sensor does come with other additional sensors like motion, light sensor, humidity, temperature, even a leak sensor, but my primary use for this is more for contact, so I can know if the door is in an open or in a closed state. The lock only helps determine if it's locked or not locked, because a door could be open and still be in a locked state. Now, because this room houses critical electronics, I actively monitor environmental conditions here as well. I use this stored realities, Zigbee temperature and humidity sensor light. It has a built-in LCD display, so I can walk into the room and instantly see the temperature and humidity without opening up an app. It also connects over Zigbee to my Home Assistant Zigbee bridge, which means it runs locally. I also use a Samsung SmartThings temperature and humidity sensor in here, and that one feeds into my automation. If humidity rises past a certain threshold, I can trigger alerts, and when I walk into the room, the lights automatically turn on as well as turn off when I leave. Mounted near the electrical panel is my Siemens in-app energy monitor. Now this guy tracks power usage per breaker as well as total ohm consumption. And what that means is I can see exactly how much power my HVAC is drawing, or how much my rack is consuming, or if a specific circuit suddenly behaves differently. It logs the usage trend over time and integrates with EV chargers and smart thermostats to optimize energy use. If you live in areas with time of use pricing, you can shift your EV charging automatically to that time when the rates are lower, or if you have solar, you can also shift it to charge during the daytime when you're actually generating electricity. The downside to this system right now is the ecosystem integration. It doesn't integrate deeply with Home Assistant or any of the major smart home platforms for that matter. If Siemens improves that, this becomes significantly more powerful. But even as it stands, breaker level visibility alone changes how I manage my energy. Water protection is just as important as digital security, so I run a Moenflow smart shutoff valve on the main water line coming into the house, which also terminates in this room. It continuously monitors pressure, flow rate, and uses patterns across the entire house. If it detects abnormal flow like a burst pipe, it can automatically shut off the water supply. In addition to that, I have an Okara water leak sensor in here. If water is detected specifically in this room, it triggers an immediate shut off of the Moenflow shutoff. Moen gives me a whole home intelligence. If you've ever dealt with water damage, you understand why this matters. Unfortunately, the Moen runs on the cloud for most of its features, but even in the event of an internet outage, it will still continue to monitor for leaks and can shut off if leak is detected as well. Upstairs, I run a separate media rack, and this one is a 9U swing rack from Tech Mojo, so I can easily access the back of the rack since I don't have as much room in this one. Now, the core of this rack is a Pioneer VSX 935 receiver. It runs a 5.1.2 surround sound system in the media room and the second zone for my in-ceiling speakers that I have in my bathroom. The challenge with dual zone is only one of the zone can use one source, so I can't use Apple AirPlay on both zones at the same time. So to solve that, I added an Eve Play to give independent AirPlay control to that second zone, so I can group audio throughout the house or run them separately. I also have some other hubs here too. There's the Philips Hue bridge for all of my Hue bulbs and LED strips, and my Apple TV 4K for my streaming. Networking in this rack is handled by my Unify USW Flex Mini powered over PoE from my downstairs USW 24-port switch. It's a 5-port switch with 1 gig speed, which is all I really need for the devices here, as they all max out at 1 gig anyways, except for this guy. Now this is the ZLab D4 NAS, which I have just recently added to this rack. It has a 1 gig and a 2.5 gig port, but since I have an extra port on my wall jack, I use this port to connect to the 2.5 gig, which connects back to my USW Pro switch, so I can get a full 2.5 gig speed up here. Now the ZLab is a 4-bay AI NAS capable of running local LLM like Olama, so you can do queries like find files and pictures all locally without cloud. It is basically a plug and play solution, which is a very stark contrast to my Unraid machine that requires some skills to be able to navigate around. This specific model is not very powerful. It only has a RK3588 processor and a 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, so it won't be replacing my Unraid server just yet. It also has a front display showing the drive's health and network IP information, as well as a front USB and memory card slot, which allows you to do a one-button autocopy from your storage media directly onto the storage pool. It runs on ZOS, which has an app store where you can download apps like Plex and Photos, and if you don't want any of those, you can install apps using the included Docker container. If you want more horsepower, you can get the D6 or the D8 Ultra that comes with the Intel Ultra 5 processor, as well as a PCIe slot that can be used for a GPU for transcoding. Now, this system wasn't built overnight. Every PCS solves a specific problem, whether that's local recording, energy monitoring, water protection, security, power backup. For me, it's not about having the most gear, it's about building a home that functions independently, securely, and predictable. If you're building something similar, I've linked everything I personally use down in the description, and if you want a deeper dive into how I configure things like VLANs, firewall rules, or specific automations, let me know down in the comment section as well. Now, this setup is always evolving, and honestly, that's just part of the fun. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.